Hi, Auntie Lindsay here. Just thought I'd hop on real quick. I am actually back in Washington State, staying with one of my brothers and helping out with his business for a short time. Um, but it is certainly an interesting time to be back, especially in a state that has a high number of COVID cases and it continues to rise. And I can't exactly go out and do things as I normally would or visit people. It kind of makes it a whole lot harder. And I don't know. I guess I was lucky to leave Seattle when I did. I know people still think I'm a little crazy for that, but hey, when your intuition is screaming at you, you tend to listen. Well, some of us at least do. So I'm glad I had that 6 months to kind of rest and work on myself, even though that's not exactly what I went down to do. Kind of was forced into doing nothing for a while, and to be honest, I needed it after everything, and it helped me to kind of prepare myself to come back, because there was a death in the family a few weeks ago, and unfortunately, and I saw the writing on the wall a while ago and pointed it out and got some backlash for that, but I don't live in a constant state of denial. I see what's in front of me. I see the truth for what it is, and I choose to live differently. And I think when a couple of my brothers found out, I guess, that I knew what was going on, I got some pretty horrific text messages from one brother in particular, but I know it comes from an unhealed place within himself, and he's just projecting onto me, and I kind of had to remind myself of that, even though it did hurt. But I also wasn't reacting to his messages, I think, the way that he wanted to. He was trying his best at gaslighting and the typical narcissistic behavior, which I fully understand where he learned it from. And I think it was kind of funny, the last message was like, pointing like I'm the sick one, and he said like, stop harassing me, and I was like, you started the text messages. But I was like, thank you for the laugh, I wish you all the best. I just kept being positive, and he stopped because I just wasn't reacting how he wanted me to react. And I know he hasn't changed, and he's still fighting with his own addictions daily, and it's heartbreaking that they still want to blame other people and not take account for their own actions. And it's unfortunate that someone had to die, and I had hoped this would be a wake-up call for them, and unfortunately it doesn't seem like it is at the moment, as the fingerprint pointing is still going on. But hey, maybe they'll come out of it eventually and see the truth finally, or maybe they won't ever, and I have to be okay with that. And I think before I came, I had called one of my friends. I know, with her own healing path, she is working on breath work, and now teaches others. And I did a breath work session with her, and it really helped kind of calm me and kind of remind me of, no, I'm still doing the right things. I'm not in the wrong. They're in the wrong, and I had no part in it. So if other people want to continue to finger point and blame other people, that's on them. I'm not responsible for their own feelings, even though they want to hurt mine or try to. But really, when you're dealing with any sort of person that's toxic, narcissistic, or whatever you have in whether it's your own family or, someone that you're in a relationship with, you just have to set those really strong, healthy boundaries. and decide if you really want them in your life or not. And I decided long ago that I did not want to be part of this toxic behavior. And, long ago I had cut certain family members out because of that. And, with things that happened a couple of years ago, I had to let some people back in to do what I had to do. And then once that was all over, I once again had to cut people out because they showed me that they were still in the same cycle and they weren't willing to work on themselves, and they were continuing that toxic behavior, and they were never going to stop. And there's always going to be a drama. There's always going to be something that happens. It's just one thing after another, and it's never going to end. So I chose once again to remove myself from that. And I hope, down the line that, like my brother's children see by example that the reason why I chose to step away is not because I don't care. It's quite the opposite. I care too much. I love too much. I care so much about them that it's unhealthy for me to be in those situations because I internalize too much. I take on too much, and it just wreaks havoc on my own health. And that was very evident last year when basically had a near-death experience. And I've always been the strong one, and very rarely does anyone check in on the strong ones, right? So I had to go through a lot of stuff on my own. And yes, I am strong, but I am freaking tired. I am tired of the BS. I'm tired of everything. So I just had to remind myself, okay, if I'm going to come back to Washington, I need to keep these boundaries strong. Otherwise, I'm going to get sick again. Can I afford to get sick again? And the answer is no, because I don't have health insurance right now. But I'm 45 years old, for God's sakes. I'm tired. I need the rest of my life to be happy and healthy as possible, because it's half over, right? So I think when you're dealing with anyone in your life that you just simply need to cut out for your own health and your own peace of mind, do it. It doesn't matter if it's family, because family is normally the biggest problem in your life, right? They're usually the ones that are displaying the worst toxic behavior because they think they can get away with it because you're family. So, I don't know, you have to constantly remind yourself, I'm better than that. I want to work on myself. I want to be happy. I want to be healthy. I don't want to do what they're doing. And I choose to live differently. And if they hate me for that, I know it's not real hate. They just look at you as they know that they can never do that, or they think they can never do that. And when in all honesty, they could lead a healthier life, but they choose not to, because they choose to live in that misery. And we all know that misery loves company, and I don't want to be part of that company. So I think with everything that has happened over the last few weeks, it was a good reminder to myself that, hey, check yourself, be strong with who you are, and maintain those boundaries no matter what's going to happen, because you're basically going up there with a loaded gun and anyone can shoot off at you at any time. So it's all about how you react to everything, right? So any sort of trauma, everyone's been through some sort of trauma, and if you haven't, how? Especially this far along in life, how do you not have any sort of trauma? I can't relate, but with any sort of trauma, we all know that trauma is the gateway drug to any sort of addiction, right? So you have to choose what path you want to take. You have to choose if you're going to work on that trauma and get through it, or continue to self-medicate yourself, right? And even though I've been around addicts and mentally ill my entire life, and I can empathize towards addicts because of my own experiences with them, I will still never fully understand what it's like to be an addict. I will never. And I mean, there's no way I can, because I've never been on that path. I guess I was lucky enough, I just didn't get that gene. I don't know. Or I'm too sensitive to everything. Or I just saw all the people around me and I just chose, I didn't want to be like them. Especially after seeing my own dad, you know, be on the streets for 20 plus years, self-medicating with heroin and alcohol, and eventually dying of cirrhosis of the liver, and being at the hospital and watching him die with my own eyes, you know, and seeing this bloated shell of a man that once was, you know, a good-looking guy that probably could have done a lot in his life. But I know that just kind of embeds things on your brain. So I hope with everything that's happened, eventually at least one of my brothers will snap out of it and want to do right by his own children. Because really you have to set examples for the next generation. And I hope that, you know, my brother's children see the reason why I had to step away all these years was not because I didn't love them or didn't care. It's quite the opposite. And I just had to work on myself, and I hope that eventually they also decide to take a healing path and work on themselves and want to stop the cycles, because right now these cycles keep continuing and I'm just watching them from a distance, just on repeat, and it's so heartbreaking. But I don't know. Eventually you have to decide when you're dealing with anything if you want to be a survivor or keep playing victim, and we all know where victims end up. So I hope everyone chooses to be a survivor, a warrior, and love themselves and continue to work on themselves. Because I think if everyone just took that time to work on themselves, I think this world would just be a little bit better than what it is right now. Because there is so much negativity in the world right now, and don't need anything else to add to it, especially not toxic family members who choose not to heal themselves. So for anyone who's going through something similar or traumatic or dealing with toxic people in their lives, know you're not alone. There's plenty of us out there that are dealing with similar issues and fighting to remain strong through everything. So I hope this little babbling of mine made sense, but I will check in with you guys later as I'm figuring out what I'm doing here in Washington State, and hopefully some opportunities will come my way and I continue my healthy journey. I wish everyone the best. Like and subscribe down below, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.